Hey, Amanda.
Hey, girl. I'm here.
Yes, I am so excited about this. Like, it's just so dope to just have two powerful women just sitting and having a real dope, authentic, loving conversation.
Yes, that's my word. That is my word.
Yes. So, can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes, I can. My name is Amanda Dukes. I am the owner and CEO of a self-started company, Dukes Multimedia. It's a multimedia production company. I also have my own podcast, The Amanda Effect. We'll check it out on all major platforms as well as YouTube. And yeah, I'm a producer of multiple live shows, a couple podcasts, do multiple other different things. I am a woman of many media hats, if that makes sense.
For real. I was like, look at Amanda reaching out to me,
man,
on my podcast. And she is doing all of this dope stuff.
No, see, but you have to surround yourself with the like-mindedness. And I had just seen you. I started following you from Dolores Presley. Love her to death.
Yes, I love Dolores.
Dolores is part of the reason why I can step in to my powerful womanness and own my confidence with pride, because just being around her, working with her, hearing the things that she's doing, how she speaks, how she carries herself, it makes you want to be better. Look, you just
tell me about it. She's my birthday twin.
Oh, is she? See, I didn't know that. I love you even more now.
Yes, we have so much in common. And she was at my launch and she hosted, and it just felt good to have her there, her presence, and it was just amazing. And it's hard to meet women like her that's been there and done that and still have that pure heart.
Man, she done been there, done that, came back around a couple times, went over there.
Yes, like seriously. So it's good. We both have her.
Yes. Thank God for Dolores Presley, man. I'm telling you, she is amazing.
Yes. So tell me about yourself early on in life.
Early on in life. So I was a talker. I talked. I was always interacting with people. My mom always called me a social butterfly. I didn't know a stranger. So for me, meeting people, talking to people was just something I did. I always worked hard. And how early do you want me to go? I don't know. Like, you just want me to keep talking? I warned you before we started that I could do this.
Just to a point so we can really get to know who you are. You know, sometimes people think that you will just automatically just everything before. They think you don't have no feelings, you don't have emotions. They just see you for whoever you present on social media or whatever they make up in their mind, you know. So
we gonna get real then. Yeah, we gonna get real. Okay.
Real.
So I was always a tomboy, always was roughhousing with the boys, playing football and everything like that. Oh yeah. Oh yes. You know how girls sit around like, oh, this was my favorite princess when I was younger. I can't have those conversations because I like dinosaurs. I didn't have a favorite Disney princess. I didn't do those. So I was always into sports. Basketball was my sport. And then sometime in high school, I kind of fell in love with volleyball. So I started doing that as well. Then I found my actual calling in broadcasting my junior year of high school. So we had a broadcasting program that I was in, and I actually started a year later than everybody. I'm still not sure how the grace of God I got in. Like, they just threw me in that program. I don't know how or why, but that was the Lord. So I was a year behind everybody as far as learning this stuff. And not only did I catch up, I started getting on camera and doing, commentating. I was doing interviews for some of the shows that we recorded, doing everything from running the camera to running the board. And we used to be able to cover the football games and the basketball games. So that was always so cool to me. Like I said, I love sports. So I got to commentate for our high school football and basketball games. And those are always fun. because we had a good food. So, so, um, and then fast forward to college, I went to the University of Akron for a year and actually did Z88 up there. We had a show called The Sunday Scoop. Yes, and that's when I fell in love with radio. Like I always knew I loved the microphone. That was never a doubt ever since I was little. You know, you had those little echo microphones you got from the Dollar Tree. I had several of those. so, so I did that, fell in love with radio, and then I had a beautiful baby girl at the age of 19. Me and my high school sweetheart, I actually married him. We had our daughter when we were 19. And then I put a pause on broadcasting because if I knew anything, I knew it was important to give it time. It needed time and attention. And I didn't want to spend that time away from her. So I decided to raise her, work a job, be a mom, all that fun stuff. And then got married. Then we had my son, got him to school age, and I actually ended up getting laid off at the job that I was at. Now, I was back and forth between restaurants and being a barista. First of all, I will swear to you, if I get bored, I will go be a barista. I just really like coffee and being around. Like it was just something I loved doing. So I was just in and out of jobs and I wasn't happy. So when I ended up getting laid off, my husband looked at me and he's like, you are going to keep job hopping. I need you to figure out what it is you want to do. I was like, the only thing that I know that I want to do is, podcasting. He's like, so do that. I was like, but I don't want to go back to traditional school. I had tried going back to college and I just wasn't into taking unnecessary courses for something that I knew I didn't technically need a degree to do, which is something that I learned in college. There's like, don't get your degree in communications just because you want to do this. You don't need this degree to do this. Do something else. They were basically telling you to widen your education. But so I actually found the Ohio Media School. And I started going there. It's an 8-month program. It's very hands-on. They put you through an intense training with basically everything. We didn't really have like a social media or business aspect of it, but you got marketing, radio, television, graphic designs, all that kind of fun stuff and all stuff I got to do. And I just was in heaven. So I completed that program and, I was good. I was good. I thought I was shocked. It was like riding a bike because I was like, I'm not going to know anything. I haven't done this in so long. And I picked right back up.
You were natural.
Right. I picked right back up and found skills I didn't even know I had. And it pushed me. It pushed me a lot. And I grew so much in that process. A year or two. It was actually a few years before that. I had started struggling with mental health after I miscarried our third child.
Aww.
But how hindsight's 2020, you really realize a lot, like, man, like these thinking patterns have been there since high school. And they just increasingly as life, happened, they got worse and worse and worse. And after that, after I miscarried, it was a week later. Here's the real part, guys. After I miscarried a week later, I actually had to get rushed to the emergency room because I was bleeding internally and I had to have a full hysterectomy.
Wow.
I was 25 years old.
Oh my God.
So I went from losing a baby to never being able to have another baby. And I did not process this emotion properly at all. Right. So I was acting out. I was drinking more. I was being more promiscuous. Yes, I was married. And so things really got rocky before school and during school. So 2019 was extremely rough for me. Like probably the worst year ever. I know everybody thinks 2020 was bad, but I was comparing 2020 to 2019. My
2019 was pretty bad too.
So I was like 2020, like, listen, it still ain't as bad as 2019. That's how I kept going each day.
Girl, yes.
But I was lost. I was trying to find myself. I had lost myself in my kids. I had lost myself in my marriage. I had lost myself in my third child, that miscarriage, having that hysterectomy. And I had literally hit rock bottom. And I don't know, honestly, what it was one day. And I literally just kind of woke up like, what are you doing? Like, what is happening? I was going to therapy. I did an intensive
Yeah.
outpatient for anxiety and depression, which I didn't know was a thing.
Right.
But it was
Either. But I was getting ready to ask you, did you end up starting therapy just to try to cope with it? Just because
I,
how you were feeling, like that's something hurtful. You know what I'm saying?
that's a scar that you can't see, you can't even just
Yeah.
describe. And yeah, so I started therapy and I did get on medication. Now, in this, let me put my disclaimer, I have nothing against those who need to be on medication. It is for certain purposes. But when I was on it, I was numb. Like it was like I couldn't feel anything. My husband always said is like you were a zombie, like you were just basically flatline, which they
Wow.
wanted you to be able to cope, but I couldn't stay awake. The medicine just made me sleepy. I had 2 babies that I still had to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple years messing with a couple medicines, different dosage, which that always messes you up. On top of, remember, I had a hysterectomy, so my hormones are all jacked up on top of these new medicines.
It's all like this.
Man, they are all messed up. So it was a crazy ride. But so you run out of money, that stuff's not cheap. So my sister's a pharmacist. I talked to her. I was like, I want off of these. So she helped me slowly wean myself off so I didn't have to keep going like that. But there's still an adjustment period coming off. And that was probably the worst part. And I had a couple suicide attempts, and praise God that he still had plans for me.
Yes.
I ended up in crisis once. And it was after that second attempt that I just was like, you have to stop. Like, you have to stop. Because it's not like I didn't want to live. I just wanted the pain to stop. And to me, I'm just being a burden now on everybody. I'm hurting my husband. I'm hurting my kids. I'm hurting my mom. My sisters know I shouldn't be doing this stuff. And it was just, it was so bad. And I was just like, I can't, I don't want to hurt nobody no more.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that you went through that.
I love that this spot that I am in life, because I was sorry that I went through it too. But now I'm not. Yeah. Only because I see so many similarities in people that I love that I feel like I can reach them. If nothing else, they will at least know that somebody understands them. And for me, that was the hardest part. Like, because when somebody understands you, it gives you hope.
Oh my God.
Hope is gone. It's gone. And so I picked myself up. I stopped trying to run from God, held on tight to him, and I've been riding my wave ever since. It is not an easy journey. I definitely still have days, but it's beautiful to know the signs and see them and have a plan when those things happen, when those thoughts pop up, when I'm just being negative or I don't want to get out of bed and stuff. But I'm big on making sure you still honor that. Like, right. If you just wake up and you're like, my body just says no today. If you try and do something like, okay, let me go to the gas station and get a snack. And you're just like, nope, that ain't help. Okay, cool. Have a seat. Their body must need you to sit down.
That's so true. That's so true. So what are the first steps that you really did to, like you said, you was just like, I need to stop. I don't need to be like this anymore. What was something that really triggered you? Because at that moment, you didn't care about nothing else. You didn't care about absolutely nothing. What was something so deep when you just knew that you had to get out of it?
I really noticed my lack of caring about, this is going to be real, my kids. I noticed myself not, because at the beginning, because me and my husband is separated due to my actions. At the beginning of it, like, I mourned my kids not being with me every single day. I was back and forth between a stay-at-home mom for years and working. And then after a while, I was like, I just didn't care about anything. And that scared me. It scared me bad, because it was so far beyond of anything that I had ever felt and had prided myself on. And I was just like, no, like, what is wrong with me? Like, that was like my wake up call. Like, no, what is wrong? And I remember sobbing and just talking to God. Like, I don't want to be like this anymore. Like, I don't want to do this. It was almost like just your full breakdown. You had like hit the rock of the bottom that you can.
Yeah.
I was, yelling, cussing, screaming, fighting in front of my kids and things like that. Like I didn't, it's like their presence never mattered to me. Usually people like, you're lucky my kids are here because you can keep your composure. There were certain times where I didn't feel like I didn't care. And that was just gross for me.
So for you to start feeling that way, did you blame yourself? Were you mad at yourself for even just losing your child? Or did you have the thoughts like, what did I do wrong? Or what could I have done differently? Is that something that you had to question over and over again to even get you into that depression?
So for me, it was a lot of guilt. I didn't, well, yeah, you have all those thoughts. What did I do wrong? And not even just like physically, but like in your life. Like, is this karma? Like, is this, karma coming to get me? Is this, something that I did? Did I eat something wrong? And then I realized my son was only 9 months old when I got pregnant again. I had a C-section with him. And I was just like, my body just wasn't ready. Like, how could you be so irresponsible? And then I tried to get over that because I actually was trying to be, I was on birth control, but I was also breastfeeding. So
Wow.
apparently it was all jacked up. But I was on birth control and I was breastfeeding. And so I didn't have regular periods. So I couldn't like track it.
Right.
And the funny part is we didn't want a third child. And I had actually convinced my husband to get a vasectomy. Yeah, I thought I won. And we were at a rough patch with my son. So when I got pregnant again, I remember calling my sister crying, like, we're not going to make it through another one. And so I was upset that I got pregnant. And, it wasn't until my husband was like, it happens, this is what we're married. Like we have kids. Me and my husband, you have to remember we were 19, we had my daughter, we were high school sweethearts. So I forgot we were 23 years old and married. I was allowed to have babies.
Right.
It was totally fine. I was loud.
Yeah. It's just the feelings. You have feelings.
It
It's not
is.
the feelings.
Right. But I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable at pregnancy. And I just remember complaining the whole time. So now that I realize it wasn't my fault, that things just happen, I'll never understand it. Although those are not thoughts that are easy to get rid of because the pain still feels like punishment.
Oh, wow.
And so I was just like, I didn't even appreciate her. I don't know if it was a boy or girl, but I say her because it's just something in my spirit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I didn't even appreciate it. I was like, I'm not even sure if she knows that mommy loves her because of how annoyed I was the whole time I was pregnant. And that was the hardest thing to forgive myself for. That is still guilt that I deal with on a regular basis. Yeah. But it has caused me to be grateful for so many other things in life.
Yeah. Because you have your babies, your babies love you. They need you. They're always going to need you. So you have to find ways to keep yourself strong and keep yourself going constantly, even though it can be so hard. It can be so hard because you wear many hats, Girl.
Me and these hats.
Yes, because it's just difficult. And I'm glad that you have the type of husband you have. Because some men will make you feel worse than what you already were feeling. And and just for him to even just communicate with you and tell you, look, you acting out, you're doing this, you're doing that's a lot, you know what I'm saying? Because some men will mistreat you.
He did not. And even with a lot of things, y'all did some terrible things. I am blessed to still even be married to him right now. The fact that man gave me a second chance is amazing. And I'm just trying to stand in my appreciation and love every single day because he didn't have to be here. Mm-hmm. Shoot, I probably wouldn't be here. I probably wouldn't. And I'm grateful and I am thankful. And, when you're in the mix of it, you'll have a bunch of negative things to say about that person if they did one thing wrong. But it wasn't until I, woke up and I stepped back and I looked and I was like, Amanda, go get your man. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? That is a good
Yes.
man.
Lucky I
Oh
know
my
you, man.
goodness. Like,
Seriously. But you know what I do want you to do is make sure you guys pray together, communicate together, have dates, have fun nights, laughing, joking and everything because I don't know if you know, I lost my husband. My
yeah,
Yeah, my husband
I'm
passed
sorry.
in December. And just having that feeling of love, just having such a good man, and that's something that you do have. You got to cherish every second, every minute, every hour, everything with him. Create memories, record videos, take pictures, just do so much fun stuff together or even with your kids as well because you don't want to be out here in these streets.
No, these streets are not for me, ma'am.
You do not because they don't make men like that no more. You know what I'm saying? They don't. And there's nothing out here for you. Everything for you is what God blessed you with.
Say
And
that
that's
again.
what's in your home.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Whew, I got chills on that one. You got
like seriously,
leave
because
this broadcast to go hug my husband.
you're like, come here, back, come give me a kiss. No, seriously, because you know what's so crazy? Like, even though I lost my husband, I still feel him with me.
Mhm.
But even though he passed, I still feel sad and blessed at the same time because I know that I had no regrets with him. I
Aw.
know that we treated each other good. I know that we were in love with each other. I know the things that we shared was amazing. And I know that he's still with me due to our prayers to God. And
Wow.
I still feel his energy in the prayers along the way. So that's the type of connection I want you to continue to build with your husband. You may have went through your hard times, but you and him is the only ones that can help each other to get through it. And God,
Whew. Girl, I ain't trying to cry this much on this. I should have warned you that I'm a crier. I am an aggressive person, but I'm a
okay.
sensitive, aggressive person.
It's okay. It's okay.
I
But
needed to hear that. You can't
it's a
even
moment.
understand. I
Seriously, it's a moment. Like nobody can't and shouldn't be able to tell you about your husband, just like no one
Mm,
should be able to tell him anything about you. Because it's y'all unite. You guys are equally yoked. He's
yeah.
your Boaz.
My
And like seriously, you gotta cherish it because I'm telling you, men can be something else and women can be something else too. But if you have that connection that you're supposed to have,
Mhm.
you need to keep it connected.
That's true because that connection can be severed when things stop. You stop trying when you
Mm-hmm.
stop doing the little things. And I mean, this was just over a year ago that we actually got back together. So we are still rebuilding. We are still
Yes.
strengthening the foundation, but it's going to be worth it. It is worth it.
It
It
is.
is
It's gonna
worth
be okay.
it.
You
Yes.
know, and no relationship is perfect. You know what I'm saying? No
Mhm.
marriage is perfect. I ain't even gonna say relationship. No
Right.
marriage is perfect. It's just what you can get through the
Mm.
hard times. You know,
Absolutely.
to keep you guys connected, and it's so important.
And something I noticed too from before to now and how we're working on our marriage, I didn't have big advocates in my corner, like the right people in my marriage corner. They tell you like, keep your friends and stuff. I didn't have anybody like, man, you need to stay, you need to work it out at that time. Now I can go to people and they're going to hold me accountable. And I'm like, okay, this is
Good.
what's going on. They're like, okay, so what can you do? And I'm looking like, I ain't do anything. Why I got to do something? They remind me that it
Yeah.
starts with me because I have to be a whole person. I need to make sure that my happiness isn't lying within him. And I mean to tell y'all, I have not actually dated anybody else besides this man. So when I tell you how these streets ain't for me, they're really not.
It's not.
I'm not.
It's not. I'm telling you, you're not missing out on nothing. I promise you.
Listen, so for me, he like my in high school, because there was a lot going on at home too. Not, happy in the home life, different stuff going on with my mom and my sisters who are away at college. And they were such a big part of my support system and I needed them. So I clung to him. So he was my happiness. My identity was embedded in him. So I think for me, within my breakdown, I had to pull that part out of I had to pull that away from him. Like he had to give me back. And then I literally had a breakdown to have a breakthrough and find myself and stand in it. And that's why I'm so big on being authentic. Because once I found out who I was after I, picked all the weeds out, made my flower bed look pretty and figured out who I wasn't just mom. I wasn't just a wife. I wasn't just a daughter. I wasn't just a sister. I was Amanda, period. I was a whole adult. I didn't have to sit in that. I always call it the little sibling syndrome, because I always felt like I had to prove myself to my older siblings or prove myself to my parents, because I was the problem child. Not that I got into like big trouble.
You had to grow up.
I did. That's exactly. I had to mature. Yeah. I did. And I just told somebody the other day, because I noticed a lot of the same emotional qualities in my daughter and attitude wise. And I was like, I feel like I went through everything that I needed to go, that I had to go through everything I went through and learn so I could help her. I was like, I needed to do that so I could help her so she can fulfill the purpose that God gave to her. Mm-hmm. And once I had that feeling, it was such a calming sense when I said that. I was just like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. That's for my baby. Let me bring it on. What else I need to teach her? that was simple. Yes. Why you say that? It was so simple. And I think honestly, that's when I could breathe. I stopped feeling bad. I mean, I think you always feel bad about people you hurt, but I can't live right. I can't live there. I'm that's what did they say? That's not my, I don't live there no more. I know who that is. That's not me.
You gotta forgive yourself, and you have to know that you are human too. But the thing about being human, you gotta hold yourself accountable for the things that you're doing and admit and apologize.
No, you have to account to me. You can't be accountable if you are not truly apologetic. And some people feel different. But my apology language is you need to say it and you need to mean it. So I forget which one that is, but I need you to mean it. And I need to hear those words that I am sorry, that I hurt you. Because, and so that's what I try to give people, simply because I think it's what they deserve. And a lot of people I wasn't looking for an apology. I'm like, that's fine. I just needed you to have one because you deserved one. Yeah. And when you hurt people, whether it's on purpose or on accident, I don't understand why people's like, "Well, I didn't mean to." So,
right.
That's what I said. I didn't mean to hit her in the face, Mom. Okay,
right. Oops, my bad.
Right, all right, exactly. You didn't mean to, so you feel bad about it. And I don't know if he does, y'all. I really don't. We're working on it. I didn't mean to. So.
Well, just the fact of you working on it and you guys are working together, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. My kids definitely get the best of both worlds because I'm definitely the nurturer, more understanding, emotional side. And my husband has a more stern, logical. He's very, very logical. I'm not all the way a logical person. I go on feelings. So I literally have to take pauses to make sure that I'm acting in a realistic manner, not just on my emotions. So definitely, if opposites were attract, we would be right beside. If opposite attract was in the dictionary, we'd be right beside it in our picture. Because I promise you, we are completely.
Well, that's made for y'all though.
It is. I was like, you think we would have a flow by now? Nope. It gets interesting.
That is so funny. So tell me about Duke's Multimedia.
Yes, my lovely company that I started. So that actually falls into at the end of it, because once I graduated from the Ohio Media School, I'm thinking, okay, I got all this talent, I'm doing good. I did good in school. I have all this experience. I'm going to get a job in radio. So that's what I did. I looked for positions in radio, interviewed at multiple places, knew I wasn't going to get on air right away. I was fine taking, a producer or board operator role. And I wasn't getting anything. And it was driving me crazy. It's like I finally found something I wanted to do and I can't do it. So here I am working back at regular jobs. I'm back to being a barista.
Wow.
And I also worked front desk at a hotel, which was also really fun, actually. But
a lot.
you found some things about people when you work at a hotel. Let me just say that. Yes. There's always a good story.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Shift change was always interesting. And I worked midnights for a piece of the time. So it was because that's just how it works with my kid's schedule. But and I was just tired. And then honestly, the pandemic hit and I started my podcast and I was like, okay, I need to do something because at least I can say, hey, I ran this successful podcast for this long, so they knew that I had, ability to speak and be in this industry. I'm still thinking getting my radio job, right? So I decided after, running my podcast and doing what I was doing, people started asking me questions and my husband was like, well, why don't you just start a business? And I was like, no, stop it. I don't want to be a business owner. I see what you have to go through. No, sir. I literally was like, no. And I was like, I'm not you. I don't want to do this. So he convinced me. I'm still not sure, y'all, how he convinced me. But he did. And so one of my friends, Lucas Tyndale, one of our friends, he had started a live. And, when you're a professional at something, you start noticing things. So my husband actually had plugged me in like, hey, because I'm always talking to him and I'm watching the show like, oh, Lucas should try this. She should do this. So Aaron's like, Amanda went to school for this. She's about to start her own business. She might be able to help you. So he was like, okay. I didn't realize people did not know that I actually had experience in broadcast media. I apparently sucked at marketing myself. I mean, like terribly. No, I mean, so many people are like, I didn't even know you did this. And I'm like, I've literally been doing this kind of thing since high school. Like, what? Like, what are we doing?
Well, you better bring out those blessings.
I know. So my husband, he made the pitch for me and I basically closed the deal, and it was so amazing because like I said, these are our friends and they have helped me and my husband in multiple situations. They have counseled us. They're not counselors, but they marriage advocates is what I like to call them, but they helped us rebuild our marriage. They were helping us build our marriage. And I was for free. And I was so grateful that I could find something to give back to them. So I just worked. I was like, I just need the experience. I was like, I can help you, you help us. And he already had a decent following. So I always joke them. I was like, I just used you for clout. But but it did, but it worked. We really did. We were giving and feeding into each other. We always talk about that currency not being monetary, and we give, a currency of time and our abilities. And it just really worked out. We worked well together. I learned so many things from him. He learned things from me. He could not have paid me the amount of money that I've made just by networking and working with him and the things that I've learned, the people that I got connections with. And it has been an amazing ride since then. So Duke Multimedia is now, we've contracted out a videographer because I've gotten so busy. I now have a co-producer, which she'll be producing a couple shows. And I'm still looking for a photographer. And I have big plans. I want Duke Multimedia to be the one-stop shop. Websites, graphic designs for weddings. I want to be able to have, like a wedding package of photography, videography, and DJs, because you have too much stuff to think about for a wedding. Here, we got at least a few things on the media, and for you can worry about something else somewhere else. So,
definitely. That is so good. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Like seriously, because it's just amazing to see the things that people have went through and people not knowing you've been through it, and then knowing like how God works to transition you into where you are supposed to be.
So something really amazing that I didn't know was amazing until people kept pointing it out. When I went through what I went through, I didn't feel like I should ever have to be quiet about it. I know I had to be strategic in how I presented this information, but I just kept remembering like, nobody understands me. Nobody in the world is going through what I'm going through. The thoughts that I had were so terrible. There's no way people should be thinking this. Come to find out, it is something so common. When you do the group session, I hated group sessions. In my therapy and the IOP program, I hated it because I thought it was dumb. But then in those sessions, you honestly realize you are not the only person who thinks these things. You are not different. You are sick. And you just can't see where you're sick. So like they can't look with a telescope. They can't do it with an x-ray. But we just have to retrain your brain to think proper things. And that's ever since then, once I figured that out, I'm just like, well, no, everybody should know this. I remember even after my miscarriage, after people found out, so many women reached out to me. And I was like, why is this not something people talk about? I didn't know so many women, I mean, like in my very immediate circle had miscarriages. And I was like, oh no, I was like, no, I'll tell everybody. I sometimes make people feel uncomfortable, but it is completely by accident. Just because
well, that's okay. It's your story.
I want people to know it just in case. It's for you to do what you need to do with it. If you don't need it, chuck it. If you need it, take it for what you need it for.
Yes.
But I wanted to be transparent. And my podcast was a way for me to do that, where I could talk about my mental health struggles, where I can be open and honest with people about the things that I went through. Because social media, I look real happy and put together and excited.
Yes.
That's not Amanda all the time. Amanda has an attitude. Amanda is pretty aggressive. I am a fun-loving person. I have a very boisterous laugh, if you can't tell. I also do not really enjoy doing my hair and makeup. I don't. I like it. I said I was the tomboy, right? I like looking cute. I don't want to do it.
I understand, honestly, because I had to learn how to do my own makeup. I had to, like, seriously, and I'm saying, like, this girly stuff I gotta do just to be interviewing somebody.
I mean, bare minimum, guys. Bare minimum is what you got. I mean, foundation. And only reason I darken my eyebrows is because somebody messed them up once and they ain't never been the same. So I got like spaces in them. So, so I just do like the pencil. That's all you got right now. Some chapstick. That's it.
See, to keep it plain and simple.
That's all I do. I usually do a wash and go. This is my once a week braid out. After that, that's it. And I just did my curls, but my curls really like when I don't mess with them that much. So it works. It works for me. The less I fuss with them, the happier we are.
Well, it's good that you most people may not know that you help people start a podcast.
Yes, I do. I help people start podcasts. Now, I got to be honest, because I'm rearranging this is a new business, so business is moving and flowing. Still call me because I have plenty of people to refer you to, but Amanda herself no longer helps people start podcasts. I'm learning every day the things where my attention needs to be, where my expertise is needed the most, and the things that I like to do. I find it extremely exciting that I get to focus on my business on things that I like to do. And so I like to connect people and help build up their business. So I have a few people that I can send you to help you get your podcast started. And I always tell people, just get started. I literally started with my phone. That is it. I didn't have a computer. I didn't have a microphone. My phone was what I had. So,
right.
If nothing else, I'm going to motivate you to start one. So
that's good. I don't have any experience at all being on no radio, no experience, podcast, nothing to do with media at all.
Stop it. I have found the people who have no experience are literally my favorite people. That is amazing to me.
None.
Oh my goodness.
Like zero. I never thought I would be doing this. Like, I'm still shocked that I'm even doing this. Honestly.
Listen, I'm about to put you on contract for my graphics, because honey, you be killing these graphics. I tell you, me and graphics do not get along, and I want to be good at graphics so bad.
Really, I'll just sit there and just play with it all the time. Like my close friend Olivia, I interviewed her yesterday. She taught me a lot of stuff. And with me watching her and watching the things that she do, I'm like, oh, I know I could do this. Like the first round of my graphics, she'd be like, that looks terrible. No,
I love friends like that, man. I know.
Yeah, so her honesty was everything. So now it's like, I know how to make graphics. I edit my own videos. Like,
man, self-taught. I told you.
Yeah.
You don't got to go to school for it. You don't. Listen, I promise you. Actually, my videographer that I contracted out, he didn't go to school for it. It's something that he liked to do, and he taught himself. And I was like, I love it. He started his own company of videography, and he's doing amazing.
That's good. You know, my pictures from my iPhone.
Hey, now listen. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm an Android user. Y'all do not come for me, okay? I love my Droid. No, I'm not switching. I tried iPhone and I literally went back. I can't do it, y'all. I can't. But I will say, if I ever buy an iPhone, it will specifically be for the camera because yes, iPhone cameras are better than some of these big, like fancy cameras that you have going on. I was like, what is happening? Like, this is the new way of life.
Yes, seriously. But it's just, I don't know. It's just when my mom passed, she was supposed to have been doing this with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, like, Mom, you don't even know nothing about how I'm gonna do this. She like, oh, you got it. But it was just crazy, and it just gave me another boost of energy after losing her. I'm like, oh, I know I could do this. I'm about to figure this out along the way. I may be dusty. I may not know certain things. So I just go with the whole flow, and I just learn as I go because I have no knowledge of nothing. I just learn as I go.
But you know what's beautiful is that you just sit in that authenticity and you ride and look at where it's gotten you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get this quote properly, but it's something on the lines of there's somebody who's doing something that knows less than you, but they just had the confidence to act like that they did. And now they're higher than you. Like if you just show up for you, that's all you need to do. Oh my gosh. It is. I tell my husband all the time, like, man, I know this is God, but it is just so amazing when people like call me or hit me up for a service. It's not usually like, hey, you know, what can you do? Can I see some of your work sort of thing? It's usually like, hey, no, I want to work with you. So what are your prices? I'm like, that's not normal. This is why I'm so crazy busy because I don't even have time to like weed or like trying to push these off. I'm like, no, I want to do this and do that. And I'm just like, okay, well, let's go. Like, I'm excited. Right. So excited.
That's a blessing. I might need you to help me. I know I need to sharpen in a lot of areas, but I'm just going with the flow.
But you were talking about help. I'm like, what am I helping her with? I was trying to get some of her energy.
They're so crazy because you said the same thing to me. Now I'm saying it to you.
I did. Listen, no, because you were so inspired. Because I had seen recently that I don't even remember. I think because I'm big on networking. So when I started my podcast and my business, I went and friended a lot of people who had podcasts, and I was just your friend. I didn't really know I was your friend. And then Dolores had mentioned about you losing your husband. I was like, I seen that. I was like, I don't know her, but I follow her because she has a podcast. And she was like, yeah, she's like, that's just so crazy. It's sad. And then I just started paying attention and I found out, you know, you lost your mom shortly before that and you lost your husband. And I just keep seeing you show up and keep doing stuff. And I was just like, it literally, like for me, it was inspiration those days where I was like, ugh, I don't feel like doing anything. Nah, let me just go ahead and do it. Cause it was just like you helped me keep it. And you didn't know me from Adam. I'm still not sure how I ended up following you. But it was just like, dang, she is doing her thing. She didn't let two tremendous, like devastating things happen to her. It didn't stop her. Her show's still going. She's still going. And she's over here being an inspiration to people literally just by sharing herself. Like you were very honest about your pain. You were honest about when you needed a moment. And I was just, it shows. And that's what I want people to understand, especially when you do that self-work. Because even if you show up and you're being authentic in that moment and a year later, you be like, oh my God, why did I do that? Like, I don't even act like that no more.
You know, you laughed at me yesterday when I was like, I'll make a post and delete it.
I was like, not deleted because she said it. I did. I was like, she deletes it, but that's true. But what you were saying is true about between Facebook and Instagram. It is so different.
Yes.
And I was like, not deleted though. She said, no, y'all not gonna play me on this blue app.
No, not today. Seriously. Or like sometimes, like if I'm feeling some kind of way, you know, some people just be wanting to get stuff off their chest. Like we'll be typing it and then I hit post, I delete it like less than a full minute. And I'm like, oh, I said it, I'm gone.
Oh my, like it's like you write down on a piece of paper, rip it up. That's how you do it. I tell people all the time too, though, because when I was like, if you go and scroll back through my Facebook, it was dark for a few. Like you could see, like it was like I was struggling. And you know, some people they're like, I don't know why people put all that on Facebook, yada yada yada. I'm like, I'm telling y'all, it's a cry for help. And if nothing else, let's just pretend that that it's not a cry for help and they just want attention. They needed to get whatever they said out of their chest. They needed to get that out. People use it sometimes as a journal. Now, I don't really suggest you do that, but but if it helps you and that's what you're doing, I just offer that perspective because I did that. And people should not have been knowing those thoughts and I don't know why I went there with it, but I did. And I was looking to be seen. I was looking to be heard. I was looking for that reassurance, that gratification that somebody out there cared.
Yeah. Look where you at now. Look where you at now, though.
Thank you, ma'am. God sent some earth angels because, honey, sometimes people just said stuff that I needed to hear. Like today, you talking about me and my husband. Like you'll never understand how I needed to hear that right now. Like it was just perfect and perfect timing. Yeah, I'm so grateful. And when I finally, because I have a control problem, so I'm a control freak. I do
too.
I fought it for a long time. I was like, I'm not controlling. You guys just don't listen. Like you just don't hear me. You don't
understand. It's just you be wanting things the way you want it, but you have to just let it go. I had that problem, and my husband used to be like, "Look, you gotta chill."
And the thing is, I'm controlling things. I like to control things that haven't happened yet. So there's a bit. And if I just take a pause and see how stuff work out, God just be looking at me like, you gonna let me do this or not?
He used to be like, you just gotta chill.
Exactly. And I've seen it work a few times. So I'm more of a believer. But if I can help it, we go go with my plan.
Oh my God.
Listen, I'm recovering. I'm in recovery.
Use that forever.
I know. It's bad because all it does is stress me and everybody else out. It's not pleasant. It's not. So I'm getting good.
So in closing, what is something inspiring that you could share with our listeners tonight?
Just the same thing that I always share is to be authentically yourself. And if you don't know what that is, start your journey, baby, because I promise you, it is going to be an exhilarating one. It will not be an easy one, but it will be so rewarding. You will look back and be so glad that you did every piece of that. You're going to need a self-evaluation and an honest one. What do you like? What you don't like? What are your deal breakers and some things that you can shift on? Go for you. And I'm not talking about relationships. I'm talking about for yourself, some things that you can give up for a healthier life. What do you want in life? What's it going to take to get it? Okay. How are you going to move? I'm not a morning person, but that doesn't mean I don't need to get up early in the morning with my kids every day. So how am I going to move about that? Okay. Don't talk to me till I have my coffee. That's just one of the rules in the house. But we try, like we have to move, but it's just one of those things that you just have to be okay in being yourself unapologetically. I'm sitting here talking like this is like, oh, I'm here now. I'm not. This is something that you will constantly have to work on, showing up as yourself every day, because the world is going to want you to show up as somebody else. and it was designed for that particular thing. The enemy was designed to make sure you didn't figure out what was inside of you, because that is literally all you need. That's all you need.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. So yes, be authentic to yourself and to others. That's my saying. That's how I end my every podcast episode. Is just something that I try to live by every day. Try to remember, because I can feel now when I'm being fake, and I'm so exhausted afterwards. I'm just like,
yeah.
You just faked that whole smile, man. You did not want to be that dang on happy.
You gotta check yourself.
It's draining. We are exhausted because we are running around here with our avatars on. Rip that off, show up as you, take that mask off, and go stand in the power that is you. That's it. That's all you need. And with authenticity will automatically come transparency, because when you yourself, you're transparent about the things that you're doing, and you're not ashamed about them, because they are who made you what you need to be.
Yes. Well, drop that mic, Amanda.
This has been way too much
fun. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you.
I really appreciate you and everything that you're doing. And I just want you to keep doing it, because you're inspiring those who you have no idea who's watching you. And I am just living proof.
Well, I just know I'm always here. Don't let this be the end of us.
Okay. Don't say that, girl. I like new friends.
Girl, I like new friends too. It's rejuvenating, like, because they're on the same level as you. You both, just doing happy things.
That's it. You just and lifting each other up and empowering each other and rooting each other on. That's life. And I'm enjoying every piece of it, especially us Black women. It has to be said, because honey, they look past us. And in this industry, I'm gonna get looked over, but I'm gonna show up with my curls and my big hoops and step in like, no, y'all gonna look at me today. Y'all gonna see me. Exactly, see me.
See, we ain't gonna be no good.
I love it. No, we're gonna be great. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna be great.
That's so funny. Well, thank you again so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.